Welcome to Tower's Home Buying Basics webinar. I'm Lori Branish with the Lending Department at Tower, and I'll be presenting a portion of today's webinar. Also presenting today is Jeremy Walsh with the Simply Referable team at Coldwell Banker. He's also an approved HomeAdvantage agent, and that's a program we offer here at Tower, and I'll talk more about that later on in the presentation. In today's webinar, our agenda will be current market conditions, and the forecast, preparing to buy and choosing an agent, Tower's HomeAdvantage program, and financing options and more. Jeremy, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Lori. Again, my name is Jeremy Walsh, and I am the team leader and CEO of the Simply Referable team of Coldwell Banker Realty. We've been a partner of Tower Federal Credit Union for a very long time, and we're happy to serve their members. And today we're going to discuss what's going on with the current market and how to buy a home in today's market. First, we'll get started with the market overview. We'll discuss current market conditions and the forecast for 2021 as we head into the spring and summer months. As we talk about current market conditions, a couple things to be aware of. Right now, we have the lowest interest rates that we've seen. We have rising housing prices. We have lower than normal inventory. There are less homes on the market than there have ever been. In 2021, as part of the pandemic, we really did not have a spring market of new listings. So what happened was the supply of listings available to purchase, the supply of homes available to purchase went down substantially, but there was still a very strong demand. So the supply was very limited and the demand being very strong. And in that type of a market, what we see is we see multiple offers on homes. That's a very common situation. And it becomes a very competitive environment for buyers. As a buyer, you have to be prepared to participate in this market. As we look into 2021, we know that home prices are continue to rise in today's market. We also like to discuss the difference between what happened in the 2008 market and the difference of what's happening in today's market. I started my career in real estate in 2007, so I'm very aware of what took place in 2008. And there's a lot of discussion about, is that going to happen again? This market is completely different because in 2008, we had a false appreciation market. What that means is that no one had any understanding of why the prices were rising at such a rapid rate and so quickly. Today's market is a lot different because we do have this limited supply, very high demand. We have the millennials entering into the purchase market. We have the baby boomers that are downsizing, and also sometimes they're actually buying other properties as well. And nationally, home builders are behind 250,000 units per year for the last several years, which puts that close to about 1 million homes behind based upon the demand. That creates an inventory which is at an all-time low. Right now, we are experiencing local job growth, and that should stay very strong in the markets that we're in here. And interest rates are predicted to remain low. The Fed actually announced about 6 months ago, 9 months ago, that they were not going to raise interest rates for 3 years. Now, that doesn't mean that interest rates for homes aren't going to go up a little bit, but what it means is that they should stay low for quite some time. So it's a great time to purchase a home if you can do it. A couple things we like to show here. This is just a statistic from the Maryland Association of Realtors that shows the amount of inventory that was available year-over-year comparison. And what you'll notice is that in 2020, the months of inventory is 1 month's worth of inventory. in the bottom right corner there, you'll see that in 2019, it was 2.6 months worth of inventory. So we have less inventory than we've ever had. You'll also notice that the pricing continues to go up, 12.8% year over year. So as a buyer, what you need to know about today's market is because the inventory is so low and the prices continue to go up, but the interest rates being as low as they are, now is a great time to lock into a mortgage where you can hedge against inflation and keep your mortgage rate consistent over the life of the loan before prices continue to go up. We are expecting prices to continue to go up and inventory to remain low. So the sooner that you can get into a home, the better, because at this time next year, the prices may be up another 10, 12, 15%. And then the next couple slides were just the comparison over the last several months with the Maryland Association of Realtors, just showing that the inventory, for instance, on this slide in the bottom right, you'll see that the inventory in January was actually 0.8 months. So it went from 2.6 to 1 to 0.8. So we had less than 1 month's worth of inventory, meaning that in less than 1 month, any home that's available for sale currently is not going to be available for sale. A balanced market where there's the similar amount of sellers and buyers in a market is a 6 months worth of inventory. Prior to COVID, we had 2.9 to 3 months worth of inventory, and it was very limited at that time. So you can imagine in today's market how limited it is if it's less than 1 month's worth of inventory. So now we're going to talk about preparing to buy. One of the things we have to look at when you prepare to buy as a first-time home buyer, for instance, is what it is like to own versus rent. So when we look at real estate, we have to consider equity. And equity is your assets minus your liabilities, right? So historically, real estate is a very good investment. You have to look at your monthly mortgage versus what you're paying your landlord. And a lot of times what we're seeing right now is we can actually lock you into a mortgage and the mortgage payment be less than what you're paying in rent. A couple things to consider is that as a homeowner, your net worth typically on average is 44 times more than a renter. So it's a good way to really get your money working for you. And 50% of major cities in the country, it's cheaper to own than rent. We happen to be in a market where it is as well. You also want to think about your starter home. Most buyers are staying in their home at 5 to 10 years. So we want you to consider as you go to purchase that this is going to be a more than 2-year purchase or more than 3-year purchase. Although with the prices accelerating the way they are, who knows, you may be able to buy now and sell in a couple of years with some equity as well. And then a lot of people, what they do is they'll start with a starter home, build the equity up, and then they'll start to build up to that dream home where you see you build the equity in the townhome and then maybe or the condo, and then you move into single family, and then you sell the single family and move into your dream home. We see that happen. But the only way to do that is to get your money working for you and to start gaining equity and value in the property as you pay your mortgage down, and that will create that equity position. There's also tax benefits of owning versus renting, and we always suggest that you consult a tax advisor because we're not tax advisors. But the greatest thing that you will feel as a homeowner is the pride of homeownership. It feels really good to own the home that you live in, knowing that it's yours, knowing that your money is going to work with you, knowing that your payment is not going to go up over time. It's going to stay fixed throughout the life of the loan. So as you prepare to buy, you have to think about what your plan is going to be. The first thing that you need to do is you have to look at your finances. You have to get your financial picture in place, and a pre-approval letter is the most important step. What you'll do is you'll want to contact Tower, and they can help you to identify what they need from you in order to get pre-approved, and they'll look at your situation and let you know at what price point that you can be pre-approved for. You also want to understand the down payments, the closing costs, what an earnest money deposit is, and inspection costs. And then you're also going to identify what you're really looking for in a home, mainly the location where you want to be, the price point, and the features that you're looking for. After you go to your lender and go to Tower and get pre-approved, you'll want to schedule a buyer consultation with your realtor. The buyer consultation is a consultation where we'll walk you through the step-by-step process of buying a home. We'll learn what your goals are, and we'll show you how we can help you to navigate in this market to succeed as a buyer. We'll also set you up on a search and start sending you properties based upon what you're looking for in a home and your price point. So now we're going to talk about the home buying process. Okay, so the first thing to do is to get pre-approved with Tower. Then you're going to meet with a realtor for a buyer consultation. You'll get set up then on a customized home search, which will give you access to the multiple listing service. The multiple listing service is what we as agents use every day to identify properties in real time, homes that are coming on the market, homes that are going off the market, homes that are going under contract, homes that are available to see. We also have a lot more information than a typical website out there, maybe like a Zillow. So we provide so much more information through the multiple listing service. Once you identify some properties that you want to see, you'll then schedule your home showings with your agent. That process probably takes the longest because that's the time when you're really searching to see what homes you like, what's available at your price point and in the areas that you're looking in. So really that's the time when you're shopping for the home. Once you find the home of your choice, you always want to get a market analysis done by your realtor to determine the offer price and terms. Now in today's market, because it's so competitive, you have to be ready to act quickly because a home could go on the market and have multiple showings and then multiple offers very quickly. So it's going to be really important that you get into the properties quickly to see the home, and then that you're willing to act quickly in order to submit your offer if you do like the home. The market analysis helps us to determine whether or not the home is overpriced or priced appropriately, and then based upon what's recently sold in that community, what the maximum offer price should be or where we should start the offer based upon how many offers they may have or what the current situation is based upon the seller's situation. We'll then prepare, sign, and present the offer documents on your behalf. And at that point in time, when we do have the offer, which is why the pre-approval is so important, is the pre-approval will go with the offer, and you'll also have to put forth what's called an earnest money deposit. An earnest money deposit is not an additional cost. It's basically the buyer's willingness to put forth a deposit to show the seller that they're serious about their offer, and they're going to put that towards the purchase. So it's the method of consideration for the seller. Typically, that's 1% of whatever the offer price is. So if you are offering $300,000, the earnest money deposit would be $3,000. That would be 1% of $300,000. That money goes towards your purchase and your closing costs at the time of settlement. Again, it's not an additional cost, but your agent will ask you for a picture of a check made out to the title company of your choice with your pre-approval letter, and then we'll have all the offer documents presented as well. Once the offer is submitted, your agent will then negotiate the offer. Once we go under contract, which is where all parties agree to any and all changes, and you have to sign off in real estate. It's nothing verbal. Everything has to be done in writing. So once everything's signed off by all parties, that will be when we have what's called a ratified contract. We'll get that over to your lender, and they will begin the loan processing, the appraisal order, and the commitment letter will be an ongoing process. Loan processing is getting your loan in order and in place to move forward towards settlement. The appraisal is the lender will have to have an independent evaluation of the property to make sure that it's worth what you're willing to pay. So that will be ordered. and they'll go out to the property and they'll do an analysis similar to a market analysis, and they'll identify what they feel the property is worth. If it comes in lower than the appraised value, typically you will renegotiate that. But if it comes in higher, then you're walking in with equity, which is a great thing. Buying a home for less than what it appraises for is always a good thing. And then the commitment letter is the lender's commitment to lend you the money at the time of settlement for your loan. And that's all an ongoing process. The whole process takes 35 to 45 days from the time that you submit your offer to the time that you attend settlement. Your title company is important, and the title company orders the title to make sure there's no defects on the title, and to make sure the property transfers free and clear of any liens. At that point in time, you also schedule all of your inspections, and we'll talk about inspections in a minute, all the different types of inspections to make sure that the property checks out the way you would like it to check out in order to move forward. If there are repairs, and we have an addendum in there that says we're going to negotiate repairs, then we will do that. But in today's market, we're experiencing a lot of as-is inspections with the right to inspect and terminate. So not a lot of negotiation on repairs in today's market, just identifying whether you're going to proceed or not proceed based upon the inspection results. And that's just due to the nature of what buyers are willing to do in order to get their offers accepted. We'll also perform a final walkthrough and confirm any and all repairs are made. If no repairs were agreed to be made, then we just want to confirm that the property is in the same condition as it was when we went under contract. And you'll do that prior to your settlement. And again, the closing occurs 30 to 45 days from the signed contract by all parties. So a couple of things too, I mentioned earlier that we have a very limited inventory market. So when there's low inventory, we have to adjust the way that we do things than if we were just working in a normal market. A normal market being a balanced market, where instead of it taking 2 days for a property to sell or a day for a property to sell, it might take 2 weeks, it might take 2 months. That would be a normal market. But this market that we're in now is not a normal market. So we have a very low inventory market. One of the things you want to do is you want to minimize your contingencies, because as a buyer, the seller is going to be looking at the different contingencies that are in the offer, the different types of contingencies that there are. So one of the things that we see a lot of in today's market is the as is. We're going to buy the property as is, but we do want to have the right to inspect it. And if we don't like what we like, if we don't like what we see, we're going to get out of the contract. And that happens all the time. We set up as is with the right to inspect and terminate. In a previous market where it's normal inventory, we'll do a property inspection where we have the right to negotiate. But because a lot of buyers are minimizing their contingencies in order to get their offer accepted, we have to be able to compete, and this is one of the ways that we're competing. The other thing is that you want to limit your closing cost assistance, meaning how much you're asking the seller to pay towards your closing costs. In a normal market, anywhere up to 3% seller contribution towards the buyer's closing costs, very normal. Was happening quite a bit a couple years ago. But in this market now, if you have closing cost assistance that you need, it's going to put your offer, a little bit towards the bottom of the pile versus being at the top of the pile, because the seller is looking for the best price with the least amount of contingencies, and are also looking at what it's going to cost them to sell the property. So if you're asking for $10,000 in closing costs, it's going to be a little bit challenging if you're competing with an offer that's asking for no closing costs, but at a similar price. Appraisal. We are seeing some buyers remove their appraisal contingency. Now, we would have never suggested this in the past, but it has become more of a norm. What that means is if the property appraises for less, you're still willing to pay the price if you were to remove the appraisal contingency. All of these minimizing of contingencies is based upon each situation is different, right? So this is one of those things that you'll want to work with your real estate agent, because there are times still today that we're getting closing costs, right? There are still times today where we're not removing the appraisal contingency. There are still times today, I just put one together this week, where we actually do the property inspection notice based upon the magnitude of the property or the seller's situation, what they're willing to work with. So these are all suggestive items. These don't always happen, but you have to be prepared as a buyer in today's market to know some of the things that your agent will suggest, and it would not be out of the ordinary for them to suggest these things. Rent back. So a lot of sellers, because of the limited inventory market, they don't know where they're going to go when they sell. So one of the ways that you could potentially get your offer accepted is to offer them a rent back, a post-settlement occupancy, where you buy the house, they stay in it, but they rent it back from you for 30 or 60 days while they're trying to move into their new place. Sometimes the price is not all that matters. Sometimes the other things that, working with the seller's timeline, giving them a rent back, these are all some things that you could consider doing that would push your offer a little bit higher to the top of the pile. And then, of course, we're seeing a lot of purchase price escalation. What a purchase price escalation says is that you're willing to write an offer at a certain price, but you're willing to escalate the price up to a certain point in increments of however much, $500, $1,000, to beat any other offers that may come in that are a little bit better than your initial offer. So, for instance, say it's a $300,000 property, and there's multiple offers coming in. You say, look, I'm going to pay $300,000, but I'm willing to escalate my price to $315,000 to beat out any other offers in increments of $1,000. So if another offer comes in at $305,000, and that's the best offer that they get, then you're going to pay $306,000. It's a way, instead of paying $315,000, it's a way to basically not have to bid against yourself, but bid against the other offers, because part of the purchase price escalation clause says that in order to enforce the purchase price escalation, the sellers have to show you proof that they have the other offer. So purchase price escalation being used quite a bit. Some selling agents or listing agents or sellers agents are not accepting purchase price escalations, and some are. So that's, again, per situation specific. You have to be ready to go above list price. So, the days of getting a home at $300,000 for $285,000, it's just not happening in today's market. There's multiple offers. A lot of people are willing to pay over with a limited amount of inventory. So one of the things that we're suggesting our buyers is, if you're approved at $300,000, you might want to look up to $275,000, because you're most likely going to have to escalate your price to $275,000, $285,000. You're most likely going to have to escalate your price up a little bit. So if you're approved at $300,000 and you're looking at $300,000 and you have to escalate, where you're going to no longer be pre-approved at that price if you have to escalate it higher. So a couple things to consider as a buyer. The other thing is, we still do have people coming to us saying, I want to get a deal. I want a foreclosure. I want a short sale. I've heard I can get deals on them. You're not going to get a deal in today's market. The deal is that you actually beat everyone else out from getting the property. The deal is getting under contract. The deal is securing the property. That is the deal. The deal is not, 10% off the asking price or 5% off the asking price. And one of the things that we're telling our buyers now is that if no one else is interested in the property that you're looking at, that's a problem, because there should be a lot of people interested in it if it's priced right, if it's in the right location, and it's in good condition. So be a little bit concerned if you're out there and you find the one and the seller's willing to do everything for you. You may be overpaying for the property, may not be what it's worth. And the fact that no one else would be interested with such a low inventory would be a reason for concern that I would have if I was the buyer. So listen to your agent's professional suggestions. One of the reasons we put this in here is because on the internet, there is so much information. On the news, there's so much information, but a lot of that's based on what's happening nationally. And real estate is local. And you have to know what's happening locally and not listen to what's happening nationally when you're a buyer in today's market. As agents, we're on the ground each and every day. We're working really hard for our buyers. We're submitting a lot of offers. Some of them are getting accepted. A lot of them are not getting accepted because of the nature of the market. A couple of years ago, we were one of 4 offers. Now we might be one of 30 offers, or one of 20 offers, or one of 15 offers. So it's hard to win, right? So when your agent is suggesting something, it's because they want you to win in today's market. They don't want you to lose. They don't want you to become a frustrated buyer because you're trying to write offers where those types of offers aren't even being considered. So the other thing is, too, is we're doing this day in and day out. We're selling a lot of homes. We're helping a lot of people, and we've been doing it for a very long time, most of us. and all the agents in the HomeAdvantage program, which Lori's going to talk about, are all seasoned professionals. And so their advice and their suggestions are based upon them wanting you to win. So just try to listen to them because they're doing this regularly and represent a lot of people. So here's some home inspection costs. These are the ways to really protect yourself. So a standard home inspection is $400 to $600, depending. This is all depending upon square footage of the home. A radon inspection, that's an odorless gas that's found in the earth that you don't know whether or not it's there unless you do a test. Most home inspectors will do them for $125 to $150 per test, and most homes only require one. Then you have a chimney inspection, $150 to $225. A well, if the property is not on public water, that's about $450. A pool inspection, $285 to $450. Septic inspection, $285 to $450. There's a visual. There's also a camera scan available if you have a septic system. And then termite, $35 to $75. The reason we like to bring these up, because all the inspections are paid for at the time of the settlement. So you want to make sure that the house that you are going after is one that you really want, because you're going to spend a good amount of money on getting the property inspected. If we're buying the property as is with the right to inspect and terminate, we just want to make sure that we're okay with the condition of all these systems, the home and the radon chimney and all these other items. If you're buying the property and you have the right to negotiate, which is not happening that often in today's market, but does happen sometimes, then you're going to get the reports of these, all the service providers will provide reports, and then you'll put together an addendum asking the seller to fix certain items. That will become a negotiation at that point. And if you don't agree, then you can get out of the contract. But if you do agree and move forward, then you're moving forward with those items. If it's as is and you move forward, you're just saying you're accepting the property the way it is based upon the inspections. So next we're going to talk about choosing and working with a realtor. Just a couple things to note out there today in today's market. You know, last year was probably one of the best real estate markets of all time when it comes to the amount of properties that were sold, the pricing, and the low interest rates and high demand, and sellers being able to put their homes on the market and sell in multiple days. So we just provide these statistics for you to know that, you know, there are a lot of real estate agents that are licensed professionals that have gotten a real estate license. In 2020, there were 1.2 million. Actually, I just saw a statistic the other day that said there are now more licensed professionals than there are homes available to sell in the country, which is interesting. But in 2020, 600,000 of those agents that were licensed did not sell a single property. So half of our industry did not help anyone move. So the reason we bring that to your attention, because we want to make sure that you're working with a professional, because this market requires a professional to help you navigate through it. A lot of people have family members and friends that are doing this on the side. That's fine. But this market is very, very fast-paced, the most fast-paced market we've ever seen in 15 years. And it requires a lot of attention to detail and someone that's going to be on your side. So if you interview two agents, it's likely that one of them is not selling anything. So be very cautious. The average real estate agent sells 7 homes per year. That's less than 1 per month. In today's market, I think you're going to need somebody that's going to be really helping you through. 87% fail within their first year, and there are a ton of part-time agents. We are actually the #1 industry right now for what's happened since COVID, where a lot of people, unfortunately, you know, have been laid off or they're changing careers, and a lot of people are moving into real estate because it's been such a good situation, such a good market. So there's a lot of people getting into the business. Just like to make you aware of that. Make sure you deal with a pro that's going to help you navigate. It's the biggest investment that you're going to make in your life, and you want to make sure you're dealing with the pro. How do I find an agent? Well, there's a couple different ways to find an agent. Lori's going to talk to you about the HomeAdvantage Referral Network, which is an awesome program that we're a part of. Tower does a phenomenal job of identifying the best agents in the market to work with. You'll have multiple options when it comes to that. They have a great team of professionals. We network regularly together. We help each other. We support each other. And we're here to help you too. You also want to ask maybe a recommendation from a friend or someone from work. 99% of everything that we do in this today is by referral. So we have a lot of our past clients that recommend family members and friends that they want to have a similar experience. And ask them, would they use their agent again? What did they like about them? What did they not like about them? We do think you should interview your prospective agent, make sure how well you can work with them, how well the personalities, work together, the resources that they have, again, whether or not they work full-time or if this is just a part-time business that they're starting. And then does the agent have experience? These are some important questions that you really want to ask. And we are doing now, we're very COVID-friendly, COVID-safe. We're doing our buyer consultations by Zoom. So I know a lot of agents are doing initial meetings over Zoom. We're also very safe if you want to meet in person. We meet in person with the mask. So we've been doing that regularly as well. So meet with the agent, talk to them, see them, see how well you connect. So this is the buyer agent role, what we do as your buyer's agent. We're going to search for properties, with you. We're going to show you homes, help you find the right property. The main word here is fiduciary. So we like to point out, as a fiduciary, what we're doing is we're putting your interests first in this whole process. So our fiduciary responsibilities are to you, the buyer, when we're in relationship and we're representing you. So we will do things like point out what we don't like about the home, point out some things that we've noticed in the past, maybe the moisture smell in the basement that you may not smell or you're not accustomed to, but we know what the smell is. We know what it looks like on a wall when there's a little bit of moisture damage. We know how to identify, not that we're inspectors, but we've been through this. So we're going to point out these things that we see that could pose a potential problem to you in the future. You want to identify what you really like, and we want to show you kind of the things that may not work for you once you move into the property. So we're going to take everything that we learn about you and what you're looking to do in the buyer consultation, all your goals, and then we're going to work with you through that process as we look at homes and help you find the right property. We talked about providing a comparable market analysis to make sure that the property is in line with pricing. We're going to strategize, negotiate your terms. We're going to review, present, analyze all offers and counteroffers. We're going to discuss contracts, the contingencies, things that come up. There are a lot of things that can come up in a real estate transaction. A lot of different parties involved. And so there's a lot of things that can happen, but our goal is to help you navigate through all that. We'll help you through inspections, the appraisal process, rent back agreements, different types of inspections like lead-based paint and other items. We'll help you through that as well. We also do ongoing negotiations, the pre-settlement logistics, where we work with your lender and your title company. We will attend the final walkthrough with you to make sure the home's in the right condition prior to you attending closing, and we will be at the closing with you. We are really your guide throughout the entire process, almost like the leader, right? Your consultant, your advocate, someone that's going to go and represent you on your behalf and put you in the best position possible. The best part for the buyer is that there is what's called a cooperating agreement, which says that if we bring a buyer to a seller that has their home on the market with a licensed real estate company, then they're going to cooperate and pay the commission paid to the buyer's agent. So we get paid by the seller. You don't pay any commissions. There are some agents that charge additional, but that's just you want to double check that when you're whoever you decide to work with. But the commission is paid for by the seller. Lori's going to now talk to you about the HomeAdvantage program.
Thank you, Jeremy. So moving on and talking about our HomeAdvantage program, this is a great real estate resource for any member who's looking to buy or sell. It's a network of real estate agents that are pre-approved and pre-screened. They're very seasoned agents, and of course, as Jeremy mentioned, that's very important in this market that we're in right now. And another big thing about our HomeAdvantage agents is they give you back 20% of their commission as a cash reward at closing. So you actually will receive money back from your real estate agent, and we'll take a look at a screen in a moment of what that kind of looks like. But it equals 20% of their commission that they're going to be paid on the deal. The HomeAdvantage program allows you to not only find a qualified real estate agent, but also search for homes. Just like your agent will set you up on the multiple listing service, this is another way to gain access to the multiple listing service. There's various research market trend tools. You can search for recently sold homes, and it's just a very valuable tool to use and educate yourself as you maneuver through the home buying and selling process. And you can visit towerfcu.org to preview the HomeAdvantage program and take a look at what it has to offer. Here's a slide with an example of what the rebate looks like. And this will be based on a 3% sales commission from the buying or selling agent, if you're depending on whether or not you're buying a home or selling a home. And this just equates to an example of what that looks like. So let's move on and talk about financing options. As mentioned before, one of the very important steps in buying a home is to get pre-approved. Pre-approval is an actual mortgage application minus the property address because you haven't found that yet. So during a pre-approval, your credit report will be pulled, so the loan officer will know exactly what your credit looks like and what kind of programs you might qualify for. Pre-approvals are of no cost to you, so if you're working with a lender and there's some sort of fee for that, that would be very abnormal. So you would want to do some research on that. And typically they're good for 120 days. And real estate agents typically will require to see your pre-approval to know they're showing you the right properties in the right price point. Loan programs at Tower, we offer a variety of mortgage options here. And of course, fixed rate mortgage loans are fixed for the whole term of the loan. Adjustable rate mortgages, also known as ARMs, are fixed for a certain period of time and then adjust annually after that. We also offer VA loans in Maryland and Virginia in various terms, 30, 20, 15, and 10 years. We also have jumbo mortgages that start at a loan amount of $548,251, and they go up to $850,000. And we also offer vacation and second homes. So how much do I need to purchase a home? When you buy a home, you're looking at several different types of costs, one being down payment, one being closing costs, and another being your upfront expenses. For the down payment, that's a percentage of the purchase price paid at closing. And at Tower, we offer 100% financing available in certain states. And that's a very good loan option for those with little or no down payment money. So that is a way to get into a home if you're tight on those types of funds. And again, the same for the 97% financing. Jumbo loans are typically a loan amount of putting 5% down. And to avoid private mortgage insurance, which we'll talk about a little more in detail in a moment, you would need to put 20% down. And condos typically is a down payment of 10%. So next, you need to have your closing cost funds. And that usually will range from 3 to 6%, depending on your location. Closing costs include lender fees, title fees, state and local fees, so that's why there's a range, and that's why it depends on your location. We have a feature on our website called the Loan Consultant, and I always encourage members to take a look at that feature It's a bit of a calculator where you'll enter in some criteria, and it will return results to you of various loan products, as well as an estimate of the closing costs. So in addition to down payment money and closing costs, you need to take a look at your funds and make sure you have enough for your upfront expenses. When you go to submit your offer, it's typical that you will have to put down earnest money deposit, and that is usually around 1% of the purchase price. And as Jeremy mentioned, you'll have your home inspections to pay for, and there's a variety of those. And once you have your ratified contract, where you as the buyer and the seller have both signed the contract, that's the point in time where you will provide that to your loan officer, and that's usually the point where you will pay an application fee. So let's talk about private mortgage insurance for a moment. What is PMI? It's protection for the lender in case of default, and all lenders have it. It's just a matter of how do they pass it on to the consumer, to the buyer. It's typically needed when you're putting down less than 20%, and it affects your loan by becoming part of your mortgage payment. It's a premium that's added to the mortgage payment of principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And again, we have the closing cost detail feature on our website called the Loan Consultant, and it will give you an estimate of that private mortgage insurance. So this is what the loan application process looks like. You'll get pre-approved and begin working with your real estate agent. Once you have ratified your contract, you'll bring that into your loan advisor. And that's the point where you need to be prepared to pay your upfront charges. At that point, the loan consultant will begin processing the actual loan, and this is the point where the appraisal gets ordered, the title work is ordered, and everyone is working with you, whether it's the lender, your agent, the title company. Everybody's working together to get you to the closing date within the specified date in the contract. Once all the verifying documents are in and the appraisal's in and title work is in, that's the point where the loan approval and loan commitment gets provided to you as the buyer. And that's when closing is actually scheduled. Benefits of a tower mortgage would be the easy online application process. Once you enter in all of your information, it's going to return a decision to you. And if it will either be a decision of approved or referred to the credit union. And that's just so we can take another look at it to see if you've missed something or entered something incorrectly. And that's the point where you can work with a loan advisor to get you into the right loan option that fits your situation. Our rates here at Tower are very competitive. And the big deal about our loans is that the mortgage is always serviced by Tower. So once you have a mortgage loan with us, you will always talk to Tower for the servicing of your loan. We have various payment options and a very convenient one through payroll deduction. And we also offer title services through Tower Title Services, available in Maryland, Virginia, and Pennsylvania. So in summary, you'll need to get pre-approved, register for the HomeAdvantage program, begin working with an approved agent, prepare to buy, and then use Tower Title Services for your closing. Thank you. That concludes our webinar for today.